Okay, continuing on in our exponential and logarithmic functions in ALEKS College Algebra, let's take a look at change of base for logarithms, problem type 1, and see what we have here. Let's take a look at our notes. And so here is our problem. We're going to have the logarithm to the base of 1/7 of the fraction 1/9, and then notice that ALEKS tells us one other hint. They want us to round our answer to 3 decimal places. Now when they say that, what they're telling us here is our answer is not going to come out to be a nice number. So what we're going to want to do here is to use our calculator here to help us evaluate this. So let's go over here and take a look at our favorite calculator, our TI-30XS, and notice that we're going to have to take a logarithm here with a base of 1/7. So as we look at our calculator here for a second, we notice that there are a couple of buttons of immediate interest here. Let's zoom on that just a little bit. And notice that we have a button here that says log, and then of course we see our familiar ln, or natural logarithm button. With our second button, then we can also raise numbers to powers, so the raising the second function here on the log is the 10 to the x button, and also we have this e to the x button here. So we might take a minute or two to play with these buttons just a little bit. So let's turn our calculator on and clear it. Let's go in here and hit the log, and let's remember here some things that we've talked about. The logarithm base 10 here without any base specified of 100, that's going to ask the question, what is the logarithm of 100, or what power of 10 is 100? And you say, oh, that's easy, that's 2. And so right away that's what this is telling us. Okay, we have some natural logarithm buttons here, so we can take the natural logarithm, which of course remember is the number 2.71828 as its base. In fact, if you want to see that number, look, I can show you that. We can go second e to the x, and I can just raise e to the first power, and that will tell us our e number, 2.718281828, and of course this is irrational and goes on and on forever. So the ln button is going to take a logarithm to the base of e when we need to, but you know what? There is no button on here that's going to allow us to change the base of this logarithm to 1/7. So there's no button to do that. We simply don't have a way. Or do we? What we'll do here is we will use some of our tricky rules of logarithms and exponents to help us solve this problem. This is a bit twisted, so let's take this slowly. Now, first of all, as before, when we have a logarithm with a certain base with a certain number that we don't know, we use our typical algebra trick, and we call that x. Immediately then, what we will do is we will convert that into an exponential statement, which is going to say that the fraction 1/7 when raised to the x power is 1/9. So we can, by doing a basic change from a logarithmic to an exponential form, give us this statement. And now, once again here, we have no way to proceed with nice numbers because nothing here is going to work on our nice powers and roots table. What we're going to do here is to take the base 10 logarithm of both sides. So let's write a step that we're going to take the logarithm of the left side and the logarithm of the right side. Once again, these are going to be base 10 logarithms. because we don't specify a base. Obviously, we're doing the same thing to both sides as we always do in algebra. So let's catch up with our step writing. What we're going to put in this big set of parentheses is this 1/7 raised to the x, and over here then our 1/9. So the first key step here is to take the logarithm of both sides. Now, we go back here and we take a look at our rules, as you remember, of logarithms, which are also the same thing as the rules of exponents. So let's go over here and take a quick review. Notice this third rule, one of the most powerful rules in our toolbox here, is that when you take the logarithm of something to a power, that power comes out front. We will use that here because notice that we have the logarithm of 1/7 raised to the x power. So immediately what happens is that this x comes out front and is multiplied by the log of 1/7, and that is going to be equal to the log of 1/9. So we can write this step. Now, since we can do some algebra here, let's simply solve for x. So x is going to be the logarithm of 1/9 divided by the logarithm of 1/7. Let's take a look at that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go with our calculator and we will enter that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, first of all, is to hit the fraction button on our TI-30. We're going to hit the log button, and we're going to take that of the fraction 1/9. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that numerator set up. We'll simply go to the bottom, do the same thing. We'll hit the log of the fraction, and we will give that as the fraction 1/7. We will basically enter it exactly as it appears here on paper, which is the nice thing about this this calculator. You can also use TI-30, TI-83s, TI-84s. You have to be a little bit careful of the way you enter your numbers, careful with your parentheses. But other than that, we crank to the answer here, and we notice that we get this 1.129 and so on. Let's go back and see what it is that ALEKS wants here for rounding. And we can see they want this to 3 decimal places. So looking at our calculator here one more time, we can see that we have 1.129. The next digit's a 1. So 1.129 is what we want to go with. 1.129. And let's check it. And we see that we are good to go. Go over these notes carefully because there is a lot to this and several tricky steps. So you want to go over this quite carefully and see that you can get this answer on some other problems. And so x approximately 1.129 is what we want to go with here. Keep these notes at hand. Practice, practice, practice. This is quite a complicated skill.